Yo, once again, coming to you guys live. It is the 50th episode of the Crossover Sports Podcast. We made it to 50, y'all. Congratulations. It is the 50th episode of the Crossover Sports Podcast. We made it to 50, y'all. Sorry for the echo there. So we made the 50 episodes. This podcast started out with two people, the original two, myself and Trey, and now we are at, what are we at, 6 to 8? So yes, we've added female sports fans. We've added a lot of stuff in 50 episodes, and we are so excited to be coming to you on a Saturday, a little bit later than usual. Don't get used to it. Uh, yeah. So I'm rocking out with Courtney, Amina, and Trey. So Courtney, go ahead and reintroduce yourself, and then we'll just work down the line.
Hey guys, thanks for listening tonight. My name is Courtney. I'm the resident Ravens fanatic and resident legal advisor to the Crossover Sports Podcast. Great to have y'all listening tonight.
Trey, it's all you.
What's up, guys? It's Trey. Thanks for listening. It's good to have. It's weird that it's been 50 podcasts so far. I remember when we first started. I think the first 3 episodes. I think we had maybe even 4 episodes. We had a whole lot of technical difficulties. Kyla can attest to that. I mean, I think 1 or 2 podcasts. I think the second and the third both ended up being like 25 minutes long because we couldn't figure out how to keep the thing live because it went live and then something happened with Kylan's laptop, I think, and then it ended up not being live for the whole period. So it's good to look at the number and say that we've done 50 podcasts so far and that we've added so many more people that have that have been on the podcast so far. But thanks for listening. And it's also good to be back on the podcast because I done missed like 3 straight because of work and school and other stuff. So it's good to be back on.
Yes. We welcome back our brother Trey. He's back, y'all. They finally let him out to come do a podcast again with us. Go ahead, Amina.
Hey, it's Amina. Hope everyone had a great week. Today has been a crazy day in the sports world. We have a lot to talk about today. I hope everyone enjoys and may everyone be blessed to see the next 50 episodes.
Very true, very true. We do have a lot to talk about. All right, y'all. So this whole this is the blessing and the curse of coming on a Saturday. We did have a plan, but then Carmelo Anthony got traded today. Donald Trump lost his mind on the sports world, so we have a lot to talk about. We're going to save the Carmelo Anthony thing later. The one that we're all ready to go on is Mr. 45 himself. You know, this is what happens with 45. He goes, excuse me, on a rally, and usually the true Donald Trump shows up. And so true 45 showed up in all his glory last night. While you were doing whatever you were doing around 8:30, 9 o'clock, 8:30 Alabama time, which is Central Time, I believe, and everything else. You know, while you was chilling, while you was partying, while you was at church, or whatever you were doing, Donald Trump was calling NFL players that kneel during the anthem SOBs. He's wondering. He was saying that basically he said that, and I'm paraphrasing because he didn't actually say this, but basically what he meant to say was the game of football has become real feminine now. That's basically what he was saying, and he was wondering why owners. He basically said that owners should fire basically any NFL player that doesn't stand for the national anthem. And then on top of that, he disinvited Steph Curry and the Warriors today. But let's be real. Breaking news to anybody that's been living under a rock. The Warriors weren't planning on coming. So that's really not a big deal. But, yeah, we're going to react to all that. We'll start with Courtney. Go ahead, Courtney, react to this.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, first we'll just read the obvious. Like, the Warriors weren't going to go to the White House anyway, most likely. So being disinvited really isn't that much of like an insult to them. Like, I'm sure they're not sad they're not going to go to the White House. Also, BT Dubs, Steph Curry has already been to the White House, so he's not really, like missing out on anything. But in terms of Trump, he's just as crazy as usual. Like, same old, same old. I figured it was only a matter of time before he like spoke out against the NFL protests and stuff. So yeah.
Go ahead, Trey.
This is a lot to talk about, but let me first start out by saying, and I think I've said this before. Donald Trump is 73, I think, or 74. At this stage in his life, he is, he's set in his ways. When you're at this age, that there's not much room for change, mindset. There's not much room for change in terms of personality and how you talk and the way you do things. So there was no reason to think that during the campaign, some of the things that he said that he would change, that he would magically change, or that the people around him, advisors and so forth, would be able to kind of calm him down, because he's set in his ways and he's gonna say what he wants and how he wants it. I mean, that's just how that's just how older people are sometimes. As they get older, they kind of say what they want and do what they want to a certain extent. So I'll parlay what I'm going to say by saying that. But I'll start with the whole invitation to the White House. Colin, you said it. Courtney, you said it. Nobody, pretty much, I don't think anybody on the Warriors was planning on going to the White House in the first place. We already knew Kevin Durant wasn't. Steph Curry said he wasn't going to. So to uninvite them from the White House, whatever. I mean, I don't think they really cared, because, and if I don't know if you guys saw, there's a tweet that LeBron tweeted, and he said it perfectly. He said, I don't think he should have called him a bum, but he said, "You bum, Steph Curry wasn't even planning on coming to the White House, so who cares?" But I mean, LeBron put in words, he tweeted what everybody in 140 characters, what everybody else is thinking when you hear, Donald Trump uninvites the Warriors from the who cares? Nobody was planning on going anyway. As far as the whole thing about the NFL, he said two main things. He said basically that the NFL had become soft, which, my God, sorry guys, I'm in the car. I almost hit a deer. Not a deer, but a raccoon. Lost my train of thought. He said the NFL is soft, which, to an extent, I mean, I think you could say that that's partially true. The NFL has made some rules that they've cracked down on in terms of, how you play. You have the rule that they made 5 or 6 years ago, I think, with the defenseless receiver rule, which I think actually now understanding more about CTE and just of being hit or just the effects of football after football. I think that rule actually makes a little bit of sense. Then you have rules like the idea that you can't even touch the helmet of the quarterback. I mean, let alone really hit the quarterback. I think that to an extent is, but I think it's all, in some cases, for the safety of the players. I'm not a big fan of Roger Goodell, and I don't think they're doing enough to protect the players. And football, the players are taken care of. But I don't think, right, and kind of assuming and saying that essentially, like you said, Kyle, and that I wouldn't even say feminine. I mean, I think that's what he was saying but I mean, that's not the case, because if it were becoming feminine, we would have female players in the NFL. Um, it is becoming soft in some ways, and that might be okay because, as we just found out, and we'll probably talk about this later, is Aaron Hernandez was diagnosed with CTE after death, and a severe case of CTE. So, the cracking down of how players hit each other in football and all that type of stuff might actually be beneficial for the game. The other thing is about the NFL players protesting. See, the thing is, Donald Trump doesn't understand, and a lot of people don't understand the root of why they're protesting. They're not protesting. They're not even really protesting the flag. It's the national anthem that's really the root cause. And and I said this many times, and clearly there's people, including 45, don't understand it, that they're protesting the hypocrisy of the United States government and everywhere else that says what color you are, go to work, take care of your kids, I don't care what color your skin is. Systemically, that manifests itself. And that's what the protests are about. But Donald Trump doesn't understand that. That's why he said that not new thing. He got the TV show by firing people, right? You're fired. He said it, plain and simple. Owners who are teams who are protesting the flag, which they're not protesting the flag, they're protesting the anthem, should be fired, and I'm like, you can't just fire as they protested an anthem. Actually, if you look at the anthem again, a very what's the I can't think of the right word, but it doesn't. It's not something that you would. The first stanza, which we sing for the national anthem, great. It brings out a sense of nationalism, blah blah blah. But the rest of the stanzas, you look at it, it's not it's not very pleasant, and it doesn't very it's racist. I'll just say it's racist, point blank. So Donald Trump doesn't understand that. And we know that when he doesn't agree with something or he doesn't like somebody, his answer is, "You're fired. I don't like you, or I don't agree with what you stand for, so I'm going to fire you." And that's what he thinks should happen. But all of this talking is, it's not going to change him. Like I said, that's why I started out with what I said. He's 70, whatever, and he's set in his ways, and he's not going to change. He's going to say what he wants, whenever he wants, how he wants. As president, the only thing we can do is get him out of the office, and do our job in voting, and then those who are of age, getting in position to be in Congress, to make a change on the local government level, so that we don't have situations where people think, oh, Donald Trump is the best option, when in reality, Donald Trump nor Hillary were the better option. But right now, a lot of people, Republicans, or people who voted for Trump, will probably think, maybe Hillary was a better option.
Amita, go ahead.
What is going on today? He's crazy. I have to agree with Trey about the root of why people are protesting, standing up, doing activism, this, that, and the third. It's partially the U.S. flag and what it represents. I mean, the colors in the flag represent certain things that most people don't know because the public school system did not teach them what it meant. But it's more so the national anthem that was written by the racist, slave owning, white supremacist Francis Scott Key, whatever his name is, I forgot. Yeah. Um, when they do the national anthem before any game, event, whatever, they only say part of it. It's online, and I believe it's on YouTube. The full entire version of it. It's the full entire version of the song, unedited, that's causing people to have beef with one another. Talk about black. Why would a person or any person of matter with common sense stand for a song to talk about lynching black people? The song was not made for unity love thing. It was like supreme. It's no better than the songs the American Nazi Party used to sing in the early 20th century. He's just crazy. Anybody that knows me knows that Golden. Hold on. The anybody that knows me knows that Golden State is my basketball team. When they won back in June, they had already told the public that we're not going to the White House due to who's in the Oval Office. Our coach, Steve Kerr, let it be known that he went to the White House wouldn't be so much of an option. Curry on his own, letting them, people know how he individually felt. And then this mess happens today with him calling people SOBs and all this, that, and the third. Donald Trump has set up a culture in the country right about now where no athletes, anybody that's a part of the sports world, are going to be going to the White House for anything. I mean, the men's college basketball team for UNC, they won the championship this year for the NCAA Division One. They just announced this afternoon they're not going to the White House. So it's going to be a trickle down effect. First it was my Warriors, now it's UNC, and it's going to be more teams in other sports and all sports that are just not going to flat out have anything to do with Donald Trump. The Super Bowl's in February. Whatever team wins that, they're not going either. It's going to happen. Donald Trump should have just kept his mouth shut. He brought this on himself. It didn't have to be this way. It could have been something where he tried to bridge the gap as the president of the United States. But then more further people. The right to protest, all this, that, and the third. You learn this in elementary school. But I doesn't understand it, and what Trey said, I have to agree with. Where once you get to be a certain age, you get set in his ways. I mean, Donald Trump is 71 years old. Most 71-year-olds are set in their ways. They don't want to change. They're used to how it used to be back in the day. They want it to be back to old school ways, this, that, and the third. And how generations live, operate, how their lifestyles are, don't make people his age feel comfortable. So talking to him or anyone else of his age with his mindset is kind of irrelevant. time of it. He's set in his ways. He's not going to change. He's just going to get older and older until he dies. I mean, so he's only no one in this first world hangs with him. Chris Paul, former LA Clipper, now he's the Houston Rockets. Today on Twitter, was not staying his lane. The Cavaliers today, they hold on a bomb. It's all sir. I guess they just instead of for a husband, they need to be donating to disaster relief aid with the word okay and capitalized letters. So it's not only just people in sports that he's turning off their families, their friends, sponsors, anybody who has anything to do with sports, he's turning those off. All because statements he made at the Alabama rally that were totally unnecessary. Instead of him going off on people, talking about you're fired, doing this, that, and third, acting as though he's still on The Apprentice, he should become more presidential for his sake, for the country's sake, for the universe's sake. He's been in office for almost a year, and it feels like 8 years already. Like, what happened in November of 2020 when his re-election comes up. I don't know if he's going to be a one-time president, two-time.
He's running for 2020.
Yes, because re-election. But that I don't know. Hypothetically, he's even more years to go with him. So he needs to learn how to act presidential and president. What he did is have annoyed by him all. His are not. I know Matt has something to say. You can go, Matt.
Where to begin? This man just doesn't know when to shut up. Alright, look. Put it this way. It was only a matter of time when this man was going to actually go into the realm of sports. You knew this was going to happen. Now, let's start with this, right? The last time I checked in the First Amendment, if we understand clearly, you have a right. We as America has the right to. We have a right to free speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, and probably 3-4 other things. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but y'all can Google it. Since 45 has got into office, this man, literally this man, has told freedom of press that 1, 2, 3, 4 news organizations are fake news. He has pretty much, give the finger to protesters and everything else, and yet before you even step foot in the office, before you even grace the steps of the White House, you went ahead and literally said, went ahead and said pretty much he wants to shut down Muslims coming into the U.S. So you already violated 3 things of the Constitution. And you even that's just, and we're barely a year in. It feels like 2 years. Now, the fact that before I went to sleep last night, and I don't check my Twitter very often because I don't tweet very often, but this man literally said what he said about Colin Kaepernick and the rest of the NFL due to the fact of the NFL and its players in solidarity to one Colin Kaepernick, which by the way should be on a roster football-wise because he is a Super Bowl quarterback and he knows how to win. But in the football world, he got screwed over by Chip Kelly. Different story. NFL players are in solidarity with this man. And yet, 45 has the right to say what he has to say, how he says it, when he says it, in all the places, Alabama. That you call him an SOB, and to say that the players should be fired. Okay. And it gets better. You, quote unquote, uninvite the Golden State Warriors. You know, just when you just can't shut up. I got some news for you. Watch this. Keith Olbermann pointed this out to me too on his Twitter account. Remember, Donald Trump used to own an USFL franchise in the 80s and tried to take on said National Football League. I mean, got a lawsuit and won $3 measly. But in a sense, also he took the USFL to the ground. Yes, it was Donald Trump who took the USFL and just drove it to the ground. Literally. I mean, it was already on critical condition, but he just destroyed it. Now, my vitriol already left because I was like, you know what, it is what it is. But you have now, you get the University of North Carolina say, no, we're not going because of quote-unquote scheduling conflicts. Now, and I wrote on my Twitter at Small Red Horn, kind of more of an indirect route, but I'm glad the Philly teams are stinking at the right time because I wouldn't want my franchise to win and then be invited to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Honestly, I wouldn't want that. Why? It's simple. Because of an orange man with small hands thinking, I got my wiener is bigger than yours. My wiener is bigger than yours. I just don't care. Look, you have a problem around the country. You haven't passed a lick of legislation, and yet you worry about players protesting. You worry about. The backlash for Jamel Hill. I saw Chris Paul's Twitter. It goes on and on and on and on. It's like, you know what? I don't have to say anything. They're saying it for me, and I'm gonna say this right. I'm gonna say this with darn self. Like, you know what? 2018 is more important than 2020 itself. 2018 is more significant than 2020. And I've said this in this podcast before, and I'll say it again. 2018 is more important. After all, do you want to see another 4 years of, you know what, I'm the president, I won everything. You're so busy worried about winning that you forget you have a country to run, and you yet you're in the UN calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man. You know, geez, I'll be honest with you. When I first heard Rocket Man, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got an asshole for a president, and he just embarrassed the country calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man. You can't make this up. I mean, you can't make this. You can't make this up. And then I think it was somebody posted on Twitter saying or Facebook, where he sent out a letter to certain supporters, and just how was he doing and everything else. Here's the choices are, and I'm not making this up: great, good, okay, other. I'm not making that up. You can't make this up. So let me reel this back to sports here. This man, you knew he was coming to the sports realm. You knew it. The players were protesting, not just what he's calling Kaepernick, but the cause that it's the cause. is the fact that in America, there's so much so much social stuff that's going on, particularly with people of color, that it needs to be brought to attention. Unfortunately, we all love football. We all love football. We all love basketball. Some of us love baseball, unfortunately. And it is imperative that we should not take the national anthem or the American flag symbol to heart. Yeah, that's what they are, symbols. But you have to we forget the men and women who fought for this country, who gave their lives for this country to protect what we do, to give us that right. It should not be infringed upon. It should not even be blocked. If a man or woman chooses to protest against the American flag, he or she has the right to do so whether you like it or not. It may make you feel uncomfortable, but they are trying to drive the point home that in our own home, in our own land, there's a problem and we are ignoring it, and we ignored it for far too long. This is the 60s all over again, and if we don't pay attention to what's really going on, we will have more protests. The NFL will continue to lose money, and sports in general and by the way, sports in general has always been political. I could go as far back as the 1936 Olympics when Jesse Owens won a gold medal in front of Hitler. So, with that being said, those men and women, athletes, have every right to take a knee, raise a fist, or even sit down for the national anthem. Last time I checked, that flag is not God.
All right. Yes, we've had a lot said about this. I'm going to agree with the panel with Matt, Courtney, Trey, and Amina. I think that 45 is doing a classic case of distraction. I was reading an article earlier today. You have to excuse the noise. My father's watching The Last Resident Evil in the background, so excuse that audio. But you have, so like I said earlier, the true 45 comes out in these rallies. His true intentions, from a man's heart, the mouth speaks, and so a lot of times you find the real Donald Trump in these rallies, right? So he's upset because, outside of the Patriots, there's no high-profile team that wants to see him because Robert Kraft was a donor to Donald Trump's campaign. He's the owner of the Patriots. So obviously, a lot of people went and saw him. He was shafted by the Cubs. The Cubs didn't want to see him. They went and saw Barack Obama before he left. And so the Warriors are the last high-profile team, besides, I guess, Clemson, that's going to go to the White House. And I don't know if the Clemson Tigers will go to the White House either, or the UNC Tar Heels. So really, you only have 3 teams that are left that would go to D.C. before the year's over, right? And so, this is the most high-profile team that would see him, the Golden State Warriors, and they're not going, right? And so here he is. What's the one thing that can unite NFL fans and basketball fans? 45. In one single stroke, he turned a PR nightmare for the NFL into a PR what's a better word? A PR goodness for the NFL. So the NFL was suffering because, you know, a lot of people tuned out because of what they did to Colin Kaepernick. Now, because of 45, they can have positive PR and say, listen, you know, we don't need this divisiveness right now. We don't need you coming up in here. But you know what's funny? This isn't the first time Donald Trump said, oh, the NFL owners are scared of me. That's why they won't hire Colin Kaepernick. And strangely, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Did the NFL say anything about that in April when he said what he said about Colin Kaepernick? I think they were strangely silent. But now, in Alabama, in front of the whole world, he's out here saying nobody should be able to kneel. Anybody who kneels is an SOB. And now the NFL rides up in their white stallion and says, no, Donald Trump, no, we don't agree with that. Strange, ain't it? The NFL finds a spine in the past 5 months. Somehow they lost it, but 5 months later they find it. Interesting, right? And as far as the national anthem goes, we already rehashed this. If you're one of those people who says everybody should stand up for the national anthem, you better stand up for the national anthem when they play it before every football game. You better stand up for it when you see it at a basketball stadium. You better have it as your ringtone on your phone. You know? I'm sick of the whole stand up for the national anthem. That's becoming the black on black crime, the what about Chicago of this movement now. Oh my God. And then they'll show you these disabled veterans to try to make you upset about it. Right? And then these veterans, I got military members in my family. I respect them all. And they'll tell you, any military veteran worth their salt will tell you, listen, I gave my leg, I gave whatever for people to stand for the anthem and not stand for the anthem. Now, anybody with sense knows that Colin Kaepernick wasn't standing for the anthem, as he said, because America isn't living to its standard that it professes in that national anthem, which is the truth. I know somebody probably brought up that that's not the whole anthem in this podcast already, so I'm not going to rehash that. But, it's just funny, man. 45 runs his mouth. The NFL didn't say nothing in April or March, whatever it was, when he came at Colin Kaepernick the first time. But the second time, because LeBron James is calling them a bum, because Colin Kaepernick's adopted mother saying, well, I guess I'm an SOB then. Now the NFL and Roger Goodell and all of them, they find a spot. You know, it's funny. NFL does stuff when it's convenient for them. It's convenient right now to denounce Trump. It wasn't convenient to denounce Trump in April when he said the NFL owners are scared of me, and that's why they won't hire Colin Kaepernick, right? Now, 5 months later, here they are saying, whoa, Donald Trump, we don't need that right now, right? No, the NFL, Roger Goodell, I was going to give you some credit, and then I thought about it, and it came to my mind that 5 months ago, you had nothing to say, you and your owners, but now everybody's coming out, except for Robert Kraft and the other 3 owners, is now coming out and saying, my God, this can't happen. Donald Trump needs to lead. He has better things to do than commenting. You didn't say nothing 5 months ago. Why are you saying something now? Anyway, back to this. Listen, the anthem, if you don't feel the anthem is living up to its thing, you don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, that's your right. That's your First Amendment right. Donald Trump needs to stay in his lane. This is going to be called the Stay in Your Lane podcast part 2. So, Donald Trump, 45, stay in your lane. NFL owners, I'm so happy your balls finally dropped. Your spine, you finally found your spine. But where was that 5 months ago? I don't want to hear it now. I don't want to hear it when it's convenient for you. I wanted to hear this 5 months ago, right? And I'm sure some of the black community that ain't watching you now wanted to hear this 5 months ago when he said it. Now, he says it in front of everybody on Fox News, on CNN, on MSNBC, and now you want to say something. Nah, miss me with that. moving on to the next topic. Kind of jumped into our crossover hot takes already, but we're gonna go with our second question on this one. So Aaron Hernandez, it turns out, at 27 years old, as old as some people are on this podcast and a little bit younger. Aaron Hernandez, they examined his brain, and it turns out that he, at 27 years old, had the brain of a 70-year-old military veteran at 27. And he'd only been playing NFL football about 5 or 6 years. So most of those head injuries were probably high school and college. So we'll take off from that. What's the reaction, guys? What's your reaction to this? Aaron Hernandez has had CTE. What's going on? Go ahead, Matt.
Caught me off guard a little bit. All right. As I thought about this issue, the one thing that I have to really think about, particularly as a coach, is how young is too young for an athlete to play football. You have to remember, the brain is developing. It develops into the age of 25. And for me, I've didn't play organized football at all, but when you hear about these brain injuries, my first thing is the kids and the children that are playing the game. Are they playing it the safe way, the right way, and being trained properly and coached properly? Now, fast forward into this. I'm not going to make any excuses of his behavior. I'm not going to make any excuses of his lifestyles and everything else. However, it is an alarming trend, and it needs to be addressed. And I believe that the player safety part of the game is lagging further and further behind and cannot keep up pace right now because, well, unfortunately, the National Football League makes a boatload of money every year. But if you want to protect your product and protect your line, you have to take a stand on player safety. You have to, now some companies are starting to make helmets that cushion better and everything else, but the speed of the game is a lot faster than it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It is a lot faster. These athletes are bigger. These athletes are more conditioned than they've ever been. And head injuries is a very serious thing. Now, I believe I don't know if they are yet or they're working on it, but we need psychologists to really, there has to be something. I don't know what it is, but it's a travesty, the fact that these players are playing. And full darn well, you might get your head wrong. You might get your bell wrong. So, but my biggest concern are children. What about the children? Think about the children. Well, look, I want them to enjoy themselves. I want them to run around and hit people. And that's what they do. That's what boys do. However, the way the game is played needs to be changed. I understand that there are calls and penalties to where they're forcing it more and more. But at the same time, this is not, and mind you, this is not the first time we've been through this. Just remember, in the beginning of the game, we're talking about the early 20th century. There has been deaths on the football field. This is college, mind you. There has been people dying on the football field. at its most primitive time in football. So, and mind you, the game itself was darn near outlawed. But thanks to Teddy Roosevelt, that and then in lobbying, of course, the game is what it is where it is right now. But remember, this game was almost outlawed by the U.S. government because there were deaths on the field. People were dying on the field because they didn't have proper equipment at the time. It was basically rugby, death rugby, basically. That's really what it was. You set the ball, snap the ball, and you just move the ball. There was the forward pass was the forward pass. So, but yes, the game has to change. Training must take place as far as youth is concerned. And for me, working with youth and everything else, I believe the best time to, if you want to say, what's the best time to start? Best time to start, I think, is high school. I think high school football is the best time to start because you start earlier. You start earlier, the chances of brain injury increases because remember, the brain is still developing, and you want to protect yourself up in your head for as long as possible. I mean, other injuries will happen, but your head is it's the only thing you got, and once that's gone, that's it. So, with that being said, I'm more concerned about children and everything else because we've seen children who act erratically when in fact erratically even at 16, 17, 18 years old, and it really does make me think, why are these student athletes making terrible decisions? Hello, head injuries, minor or major. So it is up for debate. I'm not excusing behavior, but it is something to seriously look at, not just at the professional level, but at the pee-wee level.
Right down the line. Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just when I saw the reports about Hernandez being diagnosed with CTE, and more specifically with like stage 3 CTE, which is like fairly severe. Just FYI, for people who don't know, there are like 4 stages of CTE. He was diagnosed with stage 3, so that's pretty up there on the spectrum. Like, I just think it's very sad that such a young guy. He died when he was 27. He stopped playing football, like 2 years ago or so, give or take. I'm not exactly sure about those dates, but like he wasn't in the NFL for long. He was a young guy, and to have such a high level of brain trauma and brain damage is just sad. And I completely support everything that Matt just said in terms of like starting early, because his brain was just being pummeled for most likely the entire time it was being developed. I'm sure he started playing football when he was young, played in college, played in high school, played in the NFL. So like this was not like a new thing. This is not just the NFL thing. This is like something that the football community needs to look at overall. And this should definitely be a wake-up call, especially given how young Hernandez was and how severe his CTE was. So I was just shocked.
Right.
This whole thing about Aaron Hernandez is an interesting story, to be honest with you. Going back, I mean, the Patriots had they had the 2 best tight ends in the league on the same team. And I was happy. I mean, I don't like the Patriots, but I was happy for Aaron Hernandez because I'm a big Florida fan. He played with he played for Florida and won, I think he won 1 or 2 national championships with Tim Tebow at Florida. But so I was kind of like when the whole thing with the murder case happened, and then I was kind of like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, to see him kind of go from, top tier Division I tight end to the NFL, being arguably him and Rob Gronkowski, the two best tight ends in the league, to not even playing football and being in jail and then committed suicide. And on top of the fact that he committed suicide on murder, because he's in jail for murder charges, he also had CTE and a severe case of CTE, which, as we know, is only diagnosable after death, unfortunately. But, I mean, as far as the NFL goes in terms of protecting their players from CTE and things like that, although it's not diagnosable, like the clear sign of CTE on the brain, the TOF protein that develops on the brain, you can't see that until after death, and there's an autopsy done on the brain. But the signs are clear, after the person's done playing football, or even while they're playing football, the signs are clear, memory loss or erratic behavior. So you can take steps before things happen, like with Aaron Hernandez, to kind of get the person checked out, make sure they're okay. If they're not, take the steps needed to diagnose and deal with the symptoms that the person is having. Even if you can't necessarily stop the onset, you can treat, symptoms such as erratic behavior or depression. Those players who have developed CTE after either, they're still alive but have developed it after they retired and are, at the point of being able to develop dementia or Alzheimer's, that's treatable, although it usually ends in death. But as far as Aaron Hernandez goes and the what the NFL needs to do about this, this is a nightmare for the NFL, because it is just as much as of a nightmare as the case with the other 3 players, I think, that were diagnosed by and I'm talking about in the short frame of time when Dr. Bennett Amalu first kind of coined the term CTE in 2005. But those players weren't really relevant. They had already retired. Aaron Hernandez is, this is huge. Not only has he played within the last 2 years, he also was just recently put in jail for murder, a double murder. And so, I mean, I think this actually hurts the NFL a whole lot more, and they need to quickly do something about it. As far as I know, I think I said this before, in terms of how the NFL, develops their helmets, the helmets are actually developed to prevent skull fracture, and not necessarily trauma, which sounds kind of stupid, but they're not necessarily, or excuse me, not skull. They're developed to prevent skull fracture and not necessarily brain trauma. So those two things can happen at the same time, but it's not necessarily they're not necessarily separate. It's not the burden. But yeah, so I mean, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, this is really gonna hurt the NFL because of the situation.
Amina?
I have to agree with what Matt said about the brain developing still up until age 25, roughly 25. Um, a whole lot of males, regardless to their racial background, when they show interest in the sport of football, their parents or whoever raises them gets them involved with it as soon as possible. I mean, they have PB sports as young as 3 and 4 now. I've come to realize. So think about it like this. Say if a boy starts playing football at 6 and he's consistently playing throughout elementary, middle, and high school, by the time he's 18, he would have had, what, 10 to 12 years of playing. Say he graduates high school, goes to have a football scholarship at a college or university. He plays another 4+ years. So you're talking about maybe 14, 16 years of playing. And then say an NFL team comes and sees him, likes him, wants to sign him, signs him to a team. And then you're talking about at least 5 to the max 10 years that he's playing on the NFL. So you're talking about at least 20 years of some males' lives that they're playing football every year constantly back to back. A whole lot of CTE comes from that. Some males start football later on. I mean, high school, they show an interest. They do the tryouts, say, in 9th grade, and they get on the team and they play for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. It's still CTE damage, not so much as bad as it would have if they started when they were in 1st or 2nd grade, but it's still damage. So it's not really a way you can avoid it. I mean, I still don't know what happened to Aaron Hernandez as far as his life being ended. I don't know whether it was suicide or murder. We don't know because we was not in the cell at that time. None of us were. But what I do know is that he died for something. He died from something that a whole lot of former football players and current football players are walking around with that they won't know about it at all because, like it was stated, it's not diagnosed until after death. The sport of football is the most brutal of all of the main sports. It's a lot of energy being thrown out, and for him to pass away, not even a 30-year-old, with the internal damage of someone that was a senior citizen says a lot. He hadn't even played that long, so it is from his days prior to the NFL. He was a child, a teen. So it's unfortunate, but his fiance filed a lawsuit on behalf of his young daughter who survived him. So she will be able to get the financial help that she needs for the girl to live, you know, expenses in life. But it's very unfortunate, but it was coming. But may he rest in peace.
I mean, listen, let's talk about this, right? Now, Aaron Hernandez, he was only 27. He was as old, a little bit older as some of. We're all in here with 130-year-old, with 130-plus-year-old, but we are all four to five. We're all people in that age group of 18 to 35. You know, we have the diversity of ages here, but we're all in that age group of 27 and stuff. And I don't think none of us. I know we got basketball, track, tennis, whatever sport Amina played in here. I don't think we have any football players. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody played football. I know Matt played baseball in college, but I know that if anybody got to football at high school, middle school, whatever. But I think what we have is basketball, track, tennis, baseball, and I think that's it. We might have a football player in here that and nobody told me. But, you know, listen, first and foremost, when I shared this, I want to say that, you know, it's unfortunate, but I unfortunately called this the previous podcast after he committed suicide, and that he probably had CTE. And he's not the only one. There's a particular person who's as old as our current president who's about to get out that probably has it too, CTE. And everybody knows who I'm talking about. so there are some people, and it's funny. The two offensive players with who might one that definitely had it and one that probably has it were the two that committed murder. And I have to say this, man. This is the best quote that I got from that concussion movie when Will Smith, as Dr. Amalu said, basically what happens is you have, as Amita put it, you have about 20 or so years of two trains colliding. That's what it is. That's what they said in that movie. It's like two trains colliding with football. When you play football because of how fast people run and how they just hit you and hit you. So you think about that. So Aaron Hernandez, I'm not clear on his history, how long he played football, but I know he got to college and then got to the NFL. He had about a 4-year NFL career, a 2 to 3 year college career. That's 7 right there. A high school career. That's another 4. That's 11 years of football of being basically going through a train collision for 16 games every year, 16 times 4. Like that's 60. That's at least 60 games, not counting playoffs that his head, his brain suffered some type of concussion. And back then when he was playing, they really didn't care about concussions. It wasn't like, the NFL just got hit to the game as far as concussions, right? And so, that doesn't, as Matt said, it doesn't excuse his behavior. We'll get to speculation about that in a later question. Actually, before we get there, I got a question for the lawyer here before we go there. It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's not something that we all probably didn't figure after he committed suicide. Most NFL players that commit suicide, Junior Seau, the people that were talked about in the concussion movie that all committed suicide, all had CTE. Like basically, that's what happened. They all had CTE. Now, as I said, there is a former football player that probably has it that's sitting in a jail cell, but will be out next month, right? So, that doesn't excuse his behavior, but it's just, as Trey said, he was only 27, and as Courtney said, he had stage 3. He had the second to last severe form of CTE, right? So I've never had CTE. I've never been bashed over the head about 60 times a year like football players get. But I just imagine what was going through your heads, because they say CTE is like basically a brain lesion on steroids, right? So you could just imagine the delusions that he was having in his head, and just about anything that could have happened that led to this suicide, right? So Aaron Hernandez, let's just say this, right? He hadn't been in his right mind for a while. Now, does that excuse him murdering somebody? No, nobody wants to hear that. But it is what it is, man. The question can be posed now, and his lawyers are suing the NFL and the New England Patriots and saying that they didn't tell him about what happened, and I'm sure there's a lawsuit coming and a defense coming. And this is the question that I want to pose to Courtney, even though she's not a criminal lawyer, she's juvenile delinquency. But the question that I want to pose is this: now that we know about CTE and we know about football players, and as Matt said, this is maybe why college football players, Ezekiel Elliott and the rest of them. I'm not saying Ezekiel Elliott has CTE. I'm just saying that when you look at NFL players doing stupid stuff, he's the first one that comes to mind. Maybe they do have CTE. So the question for Courtney, and I know she probably didn't really have I know she had a couple criminal law classes, but could this be possibly a defense if you're like, not obviously not for Aaron Hernandez, but for the next Aaron Hernandez? Prayerfully, there won't be any. But do you see this becoming a defense for some people? Like if you have a really good defense lawyer, which you probably could afford on the NFL salary?
In theory, yes, it could be. Especially if we can show the link between and I think this has been shown a little bit with CTE, between erratic behavior and things like that. You could make the argument that, the defendant wasn't in their right mind when they killed or harmed in some way another person because of their CTE. The problem is because you cannot diagnose CTE while someone is alive, until you can do that, it's kind of like all for naught, unless you're going to like posthumously, remove someone's murder charge. But currently, until we can find a way to diagnose CTE while people are still alive, I don't think it can be used as a defense, unfortunately.
Okay. See? Ask it, answer. But, as I said, I hate saying this because it seems so trivial, but, this is something that a lot of people called. He has CTE. As I said, there's a person about to get out that also probably has CTE. I know nobody wants to hear it when it comes to that person or this person. But the question needs to be posed. So if you put yourself through 60 games, if you're healthy in the NFL, 60 games, not including playoffs, and Aaron Hernandez is only 27 years old, and he had the brain of a 70-year-old who went through about 4 wars, right? As Courtney said, he had the second to last severe form of CTE, and he was only 27. So just imagine, right? And I'm not saying that all football players are going to commit murder that have CTE, right? Like I said, there's only been one that we know of that has CTE, and one that's coming when he dies, right? So listen, I'll be the first one to say, and I'm not trying to give him a defense. I'm just trying to tell y'all that it's coming, right? So, CTE is no excuse. As I said, there's only been one person that was actually diagnosed with CTE that committed murder, right? I keep needing to say this, and I'm not trying to repeat myself because I don't want nobody saying, you can't at Colin W. Watson, right, saying that I'm trying to excuse his behavior, because I'm not. I'm just saying that it's coming, right? So, that's my reaction. It's unfortunate, but, this is bad for the NFL, as Matt said. And if they lose to Aaron Hernandez and his family, this opens the floodgates for the NFL, right? Because there will be a ton of people who are not at the level of an Aaron Hernandez that will say, well, I've been acting irrationally. I think I have CTE, and it's going to open them up, especially if it comes out that they didn't share the information that they had from 2012 with him. So, it is what it is. I know Courtney got to go because she's moving to D.C., so let's move something up, and then we'll get to it. Courtney, hit us with the Ravens update.
Yeah, I know the Ravens had a great game last week. The defense dominated, and, overall I was very proud. And, Joe Flacco seems to be coming back, so things are looking up. And we have another game at 9:30 in the morning tomorrow, God help us. But, I think it should be a great week 3. So, yep, go Ravens.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad, though. Y'all can't play a game without somebody getting injured. That was Terrence West. Y'all hurting my fantasy team right now. Like,
I'm trying to overlook the injuries. Hopefully, things can move in a more positive direction going forward, but
y'all hurting me right now.
We're hurting real bad right now, but nonetheless, we still won, so we still did something right despite all the injuries.
Yeah, hey, you're right, definitely. All right, so we got a couple more. We're going to get back to our hot takes. Maybe Courtney will stick around for like one more or whatever she wants to do. Yes. So congratulations on order. Those of you that are wondering. I think we talked about this last week. But just for officially, our sister is moving on up. As we mentioned like 4 or 5 podcasts ago. She just recently graduated law school in May. And now she's moving on up to D.C. for a move. So, congrats are in order for her job and everything. Okay, I got your text, Courtney. All right, so congrats are in order. Let's congratulate Courtney on her big job at a law firm, and hopefully next month, because I know she said in October she's expecting the bar results, but I'm just gonna take a guess. You passed, girl. So congratulations on that too. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the congratulations.
That's the good news on that front. As I've said, We have some introverts on this podcast. They don't like to talk about themselves. That's why they have me. So I'll talk about them for them. So yeah, so congratulations on the order for that. And also a big congrats on to our boy Trey. He moved on up as well. So we're gonna give him that congratulations. He's back. He's getting close, getting on out of undergrad, but he's moving on up as well. So he's not left out. Anyway, so moving on to our next topic, we're going to go into our actually we'll get on the non-Hernandez topic. So guys, Thursday Night Football, I think it's been saved. Now, all credit to Max Kellerman for this idea. This was his idea, not mine. But he has the idea that, and it was kind of helped by what happened on Thursday night, that it should be right Thursday Night Football. And I know Matt hates Thursday Night Football. He thinks Thursday Night Football should be only reserved for college football. But it can be saved, guys. His idea is to make it a rivalry game. So every Thursday night, there's a rivalry game. Cowboys, Eagles, Eagles, Giants, Ravens, Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Raiders, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers. I'm just going through all our teams, right? And having it be rivalry every Thursday night. So that's his idea, right? So the question then that I'm putting to the panel is, do you think this could save Thursday Night Football? After, for anyone that stopped watching football on this panel, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm just saying. To anybody that's been on their conscious black person and said, I'm not watching football because of what they did to Colin Kaepernick. Do you think Giants, Eagles, Raiders, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Ravens, Browns, Ravens, Eagles, do you think that can bring them back? Having Thursday Night Football be rivalry day, be rivalry Thursday Night Football. I don't know. They don't pay me to come up with clever names. Go ahead, Matt.
First of all, let's get that real straight. I don't care what you. I mean, it's a great idea, but I'll shoot this one too. I took this from someone else. I took this from Sports Radio, WIP in Philly. You know what? And I like this idea. If you want Thursday Night Football so badly, you have to have it. It's a must for NFL, and it's good for advertisers, fantasy football, and the works. If you really want good quality, good football, instead of the slop that we're seeing on a week-by-week basis on Thursday night, albeit last week I didn't see anyway because I don't want to see that nonsense, you should have teams come off the bye week. Whoever comes off that bye week, right, that next game should be a Thursday night game. Because think about this. You had literally a week to rest. In some cases, you average about 14 days, 13 days, right? So, by doing this, you just had a bye week, and the first game was Thursday Night Football. You already had your rest. You've had at least 10, if not 11 days of rest. Your body is pretty much preserved, so to speak, or you've had enough rest to take a beating on Thursday night and then rest for another, I don't know, another 10 days. So basically, if you want to save Thursday Night Football, let the teams coming off the bye should play. And believe it or not, those rivalry games, that's a good idea too, because they're more intriguing, but they have to come off the bye because that way it doesn't look like slop, it doesn't look like filth, and it makes the game a little bit more interesting because there are more fresh than it is. Okay, you play the Sunday, and then this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh God, Thursday is 4 days, 2 of it which is rest, and then you're screwed. So no, I still think Thursday Night Football is a good idea that Max Kelly brought up, but I'll add this wrinkle. You can have the last rivalry game on Thursday night. However, they should come off the bye.
Courtney?
So I mean, I think if you're focused on ratings, which I'm sure they are because everyone on TV is focused on ratings, then so let's have, rivalry night, and I'm sure you'll get everyone who supports both teams on either side of the V to watch the game. But, if you want good Thursday night football games, I don't know if just having a rivalry game is going to be enough. See Matt's comments for additional details. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I definitely think it'll be a short-term thing, but I think Thursday night football might still run into the issue of teams are tired, the games are kind of boring and unexciting, save a few games here or there. So I don't know. It could be a short-term thing. I don't know if it's a long-term thing. I'm not convinced yet.
Trigger?
I think it would be a good idea to have a Thursday Night Football be where you have it division teams, divisional rivals or just rivals in general. I think if you made it where it's rivals in general and divisional rivals, because not all teams are who are rivals or division rivals, I think that's a good idea, and I think you get ratings you would definitely see a rise in ratings. But it's already tough to schedule an NFL season because you can't have for example, let's say you had I don't know, let's say Philly is playing, they play Dallas on Thursday night here in Philly, right? And then they got to go play the Chargers and then they have to play the Chargers, right? That's, even though Thursday night would be your, what were we going into, week 3? That would be your week 3 game. Even you really, the idea of having a long week on typically playing on Thursday night gives you the rest of the week to kind of to get ready for Sunday. But for teams who might have to go from East Coast to West Coast, the rest of the week and everything, that weekend period where it's kind of it gives you enough time to get back to your home stadium and probably a day off. You don't really have that period of time anymore because now I got to travel, because I'm not saying the Eagles and the and the Chargers aren't really rivals, but I imagine that you have rivals where that would happen. I can't think of an example right now, but I all in all, I think it would be a good idea, and I think ratings would rise because, I mean, the same way people watch Thanksgiving football, or watch a good rivalry game on Sunday, I think is the same way people watch it on Thursday. I think the thing about Thursday is that it's a Thursday night. Most people really aren't in football mood on Thursday night. You're in football mood Sunday morning, Sunday evening. Saturday night is college, is high school or in college. Thursday night is really not. If they move things to Friday, maybe I think you see a much. You move things to Friday, and you have and you have you have it Thursday or Friday night be division rivals or just rival football team night. I think then you'd see a significant change in ratings, and when I say significant, I mean great enough that it would be worth making the move to do that. Because in business, that's really what determines, business decisions is, okay, my opportunity costs. And if we keep having games on Thursday night football, on Thursday night, and ratings continue to drop or they stagnate, they stagnate at a certain point. What is the difference in ratings compared to making a division rivals night? And is that difference in ratings great enough for us to go ahead and make that move? If it's not, if ratings only go, if ratings are at 2 million viewers on, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Typically on Thursday night, let's say I'll just throw out a number. Let's say it's 2 million on a Thursday night, and if they make it division rivals, and it's only going to go up to it's only going to go up 500,000 people, then it's not worth it. But if you say, okay, we make it division rivals night, and ratings are going to go up, are they going to double or triple? Then it's worth it. So I mean, because the NFL is a business, that's what it's going to come down to. And I don't really see it becoming division rivals night, or making it like where they officially say that. But I think it would behoove them, and I mean, anybody who has eyes and watches football would know that ratings would go up. But the question is whether they would significantly go up to the point where they say, okay, we can now officially make Thursday night football, rival night, instead of doing the color rush thing, because nobody cares about color. I mean, like that. I don't understand that because it's kind of unnecessary. Like, I mean, some of the color rush jerseys are nice, but it's not making, in fact, the funny thing is, last Thursday night was Rams versus 49ers, two of the worst teams in the league. And it turned out to be a shootout. It turned out to actually be a fairly exciting game. And they actually have two of the better color rush jerseys, but I'm sure ratings were down just because nobody wants to watch the Rams and the 49ers play. But if you say, oh, Eagles Cowboys Thursday night, or you say Patriots Giants Thursday night, I mean, ratings, in my opinion, I mean, we can't, I'm only projecting, but I can't imagine that ratings would go down or only stagnate if you have games like that on Thursday night.
Amina?
Yeah, Thursday night football is different than Sunday or Monday night football. Not many people watch. I mean, I watch if I can, but it's not really a big major deal. I'm not surprised where it is down because it's Thursday night football. I mean, it's on Friday, but I think if you have the more better teams in the league play each other in their divisions, like Trey said, Eagles versus Cowboys, for instance. More people might watch that game because of who's playing, but if you have just a random two teams playing that nobody gives a shit about, so to speak, no one's really going to turn it in to watch. Um, I mean, teams need to have their rest in football or any other sport that major, but particularly football, because Tuesdays and Mondays and Thursdays, like, what time do you have to gear up for the next game, which is actually on the weekend? So Thursday night football, it's okay, but in my opinion, if they were to ever do away with it, it wouldn't make a difference. But I do think I do think that some Thursday night football games would be okay here and there, but not on a frequent basis, because then it drains players out and they don't have their best foot forward for Sundays or Mondays. But what I have to say about that. Not much to say about Thursday night football.
All right. I really don't have much to say. I think everybody covered it. I think it's a good idea, but I think you got to have some caveats with it. I think you got to make sure that people care about the teams and the scheduling is so nobody plays a Thursday night game. Then the following week has to go to California to play the 49ers, Raiders. Any East Coast team that does that has to go play anybody in California. They need to cut down on that. But as long as that doesn't happen, I'm all for it. I mean, I have to, unlike some people, they have a choice. I have to for employment. I have to watch these games and cover them. So I don't have that luxury of being able to skip games. But I that's my statement on it, and we're just gonna move to the next topic because I want Courtney to get one more question in before she has to go. And if anybody's uncomfortable with this question, because I know it requires some logical leaps. For our last hot take question, did the do you guys think the CTE played a role into the Hernandez murders? And if you're not feeling comfortable answering the question, you don't have to answer. But Courtney, I want to give you a chance to answer before you go. So go ahead if you're feeling comfortable with the question.
It's not that I feel uncomfortable with the question. I just don't know if I have an answer because I feel like there's a lot to go and a lot that goes into it. And while yes, there's a lot that we know about CTE now, I feel like there's still a lot more to be learned in terms of exactly how that affects people's decision making and stuff. So I don't know if I can answer the question. I don't know if I can. I know I can't give an answer one way or the other, unfortunately, but it would be interesting for someone if someone could kind of study that correlation for Hernandez.
Honestly, and I agree with it. There is no. This is not a yes or no answer at this point. It really isn't because as much as we know about CTE at this point, and I can't say this caused that. As much as I want to say, yes to it, I think we need more information, and I'm reserving my judgment on that because the last thing we want to do as people is jump to conclusions on the fact of, okay, this caused this or that caused that. No, we can't. I feel as though we need more information, and it's a possibility and a good theory. But I think we need more information based on the cause of it, and and also, is it treatable? That's what. So you have to go back to on the psychological things, and also if there's any psychiatry available and everything else. So I can't say yes or no to it, but I think more information is really much needed.
Right?
I think I agree with both what Matt and Courtney said. This is a situation where you'd have to look at whether or not there's a correlation between CTE. We know that one of the symptoms of those who were diagnosed with CTE is that they potentially had erratic behavior. The question is whether or not a tendency, of violent tendencies such as murder or wanting to harm somebody would be part of that erratic behavior, So I don't know, and I can't make a conclusion off of that just because I don't know about the correlation. Um, but I would dare to say that I think it's possible that his CTE may have had something to do with the murder. Um, Whether or not the CTE literally caused him to murder him, or that was the primary cause of it, I won't dare to go there. But I imagine that there was something, that that influenced it potentially. Um, but again, like Courtney's saying, there has to be some, and I think it would be interesting to see the results of what exactly erratic behavior means in terms of CTE. Like, does that mean violent erratic tendencies, such as wanting to harm somebody, or does that just include erratic behaviors such as uh, angry outbursts or of yelling and so I mean that's where I fall in that. I don't think it's a clear yes. It's possible, but we can't make a clear conclusion until we know exactly what that means. What erratic behavior means.
I mean, that's all on you.
Just like the saying, people say correlation may not cause causation, or it may also actually cause it. Um, I think I'm no scientist, I'm no researcher, but it doesn't take a PhD here, like Aaron Hernandez are ending up with CTE, and they all are doing the same stuff: domestic violence, road rage, murder, this, that, and the third, and they're all ended up the same thing. It will be some type of funding put into place to maybe a foundation or something could be started. Figure out a way to test and diagnose CTE while alive. Nothing for anyone. So if they get these players tested and diagnosed while they're still alive, find a way, it could save lives. I mean, it could save reputations in the NFL. Because a lot of players in the NFL, right about now, as well as in the past, don't have clean records as far as their personal lives and criminal lives. It could save a whole lot of drama, heartache, loss of money. But I do think it had something to do with why Aaron Hernandez ended up in an incarcerated situation, because his mind wasn't stable. I mean, I do nursing with the elderly community, so I see the result of lives that people have lived when they were younger, and how it impacts them when they get to be older. How some aren't stable in the mind because of what's happened to them. And if Aaron Hernandez hadn't played football in his life, he still would have been alive. It's fact. Um, but that's what I have to say. I mean, we can't say much because at the time you can only be diagnosed after death. But hopefully, one day as technology and science progresses, there will be a way to test, confirm, and diagnose while they're still alive to make it better for future generations. But I do think it had something to do with what he did.
So yeah. I'm definitely in agreement with everyone here. I definitely am not. It's not that I'm not comfortable with it, but because we do run a podcast and everything, we do want to be careful. We do not want to end up on a lawsuit in the Hernandez family lawsuit or in the process of the NFL for saying something that could be deemed as irresponsible. Uh, I know that we don't really have restrictions, but certain questions like this one, where we're making leaps that unfortunately can't be made right now with the science, even though there is some evidence there as far as with Aaron Hernandez. And like I said, one that I think is pending. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm gonna say it again. This is no reflection on the podcast. We know Aaron Hernandez had CTE. That's confirmed now. I'm going to say this. And this will be to determine later when he does pass away. But I'm just going to say it. OJ has CTE. They will find that out once he passes. Because as Trey said, you can't diagnose it in the thing. But you will find out that OJ probably has CTE. You should see the correspondence between what he did and then what Aaron Hernandez did. And no, I'm not comparing the crimes. I'm just saying the two offensive players that took the most hits just so happened to also murder people. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not trying to make any leaps. Am I lessening both of their crimes or alleged crimes in OJ's case? I'm just going to say I'm comfortable answering the question, but as Matt, Courtney, Trey, Amina said, it's hard to make leaps when you can't really prove it, and there needs to be more studying done on how CTE affects the brain. We know that there are some delusions. We know that just based on the movie and based on the science, that some people see people talking to them, they have conversations with themselves, stuff like that. Stuff that could be as simply misdiagnosed as bipolar disorder and multiple personality disorder and other things. But, until we have more science, it's hard to say if CTE played a role in why Aaron Hernandez killed Olin Lloyd and the other person he killed. But, it's something to think about eventually when they get there. And we will definitely revisit this because there are lawsuits pending with the Hernandez family and the NFL and the Hernandez family and probably the Connecticut Police Department and other places because we are entering the phase where this becomes civil lawsuits. So I'm sure that there's a lot of information that's coming. So definitely stay tuned. So moving right along, Trey kind of covered the Rams versus 49ers, but I'll just quickly recap so we don't have to really cover this. They had a shootout, as Trey said. It was basically the highest scoring game in NFL history because they both basically scored 80 plus points. And, as Trey said, it was now the Rams have a really good defense, but it was two of the worst teams in the NFL who also just happened to have the two youngest coaches in the NFL. So, that's what happened. The Rams won. Jared Goff looked like he a number one pick. He's looking like he might be the most improved player in the NFL in his sophomore season. Now Sean McVay is a little bit of a quarterback guru. He helped Kirk Cousins from that Washington team. So it's pending. But yeah, that's the reaction. And the 49ers are terrible. I don't particularly believe in curses, but I think the 49ers might be going through the curse of Kaepernick. I'm just saying. And you have that. That's what happened. The 49ers are terrible. The Rams are a little bit less terrible. And Jared Goff is having a resurgence, and so is Ty Gurley. Makes you wonder what Jeff Fisher was doing wrong. But yeah, so that's that. So to one of the questions that, I've been staying away from on this podcast, but it's time to get to it. So So, guys, the Atlanta Falcons just opened their new stadium last week. Probably paid for it. I'm not sure, but as usually what happens with with new stadiums, the taxpayers end up covering the cost. Now you're seeing this happen. You're seeing the opposite effect in San Diego and Oakland, where you have teams leaving because the city of Oakland and the city of San Diego refuse to use taxpayer dollars to fund the new stadium. So the question on the floor is, should taxpayers pay for new stadiums? And let's start with the Raiders fans, since her team is moving to Las Vegas because of this. Go ahead, Amita. What do you think?
We're staying in Oakland as long as we can. But anyway, I feel as though taxpayers that actually are sports fans should put, if they want, have some type of fun. I don't think it should be straight across the board because not everyone's a sports fan. So it's like supporting something that you're not a part of. The NFL makes millions of dollars every year. I don't understand as to why not every team has their desired stadium going into 2018. I'm either for or against taxpayers having to pay for the stadiums because at the end of the day, the stadium is for the teams, and not everyone's a fan of the teams. But also, the teams' stadiums can be used to bring in money to prospective cities for events, shows, this, that, and the third. So, at the end of the day, whether you support of a particular team or not, it all benefits in some way or another. I mean, bring in money to the city. If the team wins a championship, that's extra money. So it's all a domino effect with a chain reaction. But yeah, every team needs to have their desired stadium to play at the most optimal speed. Some people are for, some people against, but I'm neutral on this.
All right. Go ahead, Troy. You're done, right, Amita?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Troy.
What was the question? Tell me your question again so I can rephrase my answer right.
Taxpayers' money to the stadium.
Should taxpayer money pay for new stadiums?
Oh, okay. Should taxpayer? Wow. I don't know. My first thought is, are all these taxpayers, or people who are paying taxes, are they watching football? Is their money going to something that they don't necessarily care about or watch? To me, I didn't understand why they built another stadium in the first place, to be honest with you. The Georgia Dome is actually as far as I know, is actually a fairly young stadium compared to other stadiums. I think it's maybe 20 years old. Compared to other stadiums, it's fairly young. Same thing with like the Eagles.
Since 1993, that stadium's been up. Before the Falcons moved there, they were at Atlanta Falcons Stadium.
Right. So 24 years, and not only is it a young stadium, it's not just the Falcons Stadium. The Georgia University of Georgia played on that field as well. So there's a lot of memories and there's a lot of history on that field for Atlanta. You go back to when Mike Vick played, and there's a lot of history going back with Georgia football. So I didn't understand in the first place why they were building a new stadium right next to the Georgia Dome. If you said, this area, that we feel like there's a better area to build a stadium, blah blah blah. Okay. But should taxpayers be playing? Should ordinary people? I'm not sure if taxes went up or which taxpayers are taking the brunt of this. I don't know, and how they kind of I don't know. I don't even know how much it costs to build the stadium, but I don't really think that that's where tax money should be going. To be honest, there's better places for tax money to be going. Like, if you have tax, like if you're taking tax money, let's say, I don't know, let's say this is a $2 million, $3 million stadium. I don't know. I'm taking a wild number. Why are we taking $3 million? Huh?
$5 billion with a B.
Okay, so I'm off by a lot. So $5 billion, like, is that a good idea to take tax money that could be used on education or other things? I don't think so. But the negative side of that, the pessimist in me says, well, that money probably wasn't going to be used for education anyway. So, but I didn't see the reason to build a new stadium in the first place. So no, I don't really see why it made sense for, people's tax money to be going toward it. I don't know how much of it was tax money, but to me, it doesn't make sense to do that just because I didn't really see the point of building a new stadium in the first place when you have a fairly young stadium, a 24-year-old stadium that has a lot of history in college and NFL football. That would be like Philly.
High school too.
Philly you've had the Link since what? 04, right?
03.
03, right. Yeah, it was because it was a year before we went to the Super Bowl, or 2 years before we went to the Super Bowl, right?
That is correct.
But that stadium is only 13 or 14 years old. So, imagine the Eagles, Philadelphia taking taxpayer money and putting it towards a new stadium right next to the Link, right? It would just be stupid. Right, exactly, right? It would just be stupid. It wouldn't make any sense. So to me, that's where the issue is. It's not even really with the taxpayer money, even though I don't really agree with that. It's with the idea of building a new stadium right next to an old one or not even an old stadium. So, I'm just repeating myself now. So I guess I'll let somebody else talk.
And this is where I stand with the whole premise of taxpayer-funded stadiums. It is a terrible idea. This idea has been going on for darn near almost 20 years right now, and believe it or not, it's a slick move. Now, this subject matter is not old. It is not old at all. It's now, teams know the economy and the money that the city brings in because of their events alone. Now let me put it to you this way. I've been to Atlanta last or the year before last, and you have basically the Atlanta Convention Center is on. You drive in because it's one way. You drive in to the right of you to the Atlanta Convention Center. Right next to it is the Georgia Dome. Now, when I was there, they were building that first nest, and let me tell you something. It's huge and everything else, but it's supposed to be built for the Falcons and a Major League Soccer team. So, and then you have the Phillips ring right next to it. It is a terrible place, honestly. From what I gather, it's a terrible place to build it. Not too far as where Morris University used to be, but it's a terrible place. Atlanta is a very terrible sports town. That's neither here nor there. But when it comes to taxpayer-funded stadiums, it is a terrible idea. In fact, if teams, and they are a legit organization, know that, you know what, A side note, believe it or not, the National Football League is actually a non-profit organization, just to let you know. It really is NPL. However, if these teams want a brand new stadium and they want the city, their whatever to help fund it, it should come up to a vote because that's the people's money. Now, chances are someone say no. Chances are, and even if they say no, you need to play. Well, you should save up your own money to build it ourselves. But I think this is a no joke or something, man. This is a very, very, and I mean very, very, very lazy way to build a stadium, and it's a lazy way to literally try to wrangle cities to make them build said stadium, and the whole city's hostage to build said stadium. It is wrong. It is the worst thing you can do is say, well, if we don't get a stadium, we'll go somewhere else and build it. It's just childish. It's stupid. It's wrong. And I think businesses, particularly in sports, needs to re-examine how, as far as building stadiums is concerned. Because remember, I'll give you this one. The Atlanta Braves, I'm using Atlanta again, the Atlanta Braves moved into Turner Field after the 96 Olympics. Because we don't do an Olympic Stadium. So Atlanta Braves moved into Olympic Stadium now, which was Turner Field, and now Turner Field's gone. Because they moved to another stadium, which I never understood. Turner Field was actually, 96, 06, 16, barely 20 years old, a fairly new stadium. You repurposed it for baseball, nice stadium. I had no problems with it, but yet you will move to a new one. If this, come on, guys. If you want to build a stadium every 20 years, like as if it's just writing paper and you throw it away, then you don't value your town. You don't value your fan base. You don't value the people that live there that's paying taxes, paying money to see your product, albeit good, bad, or different, and yet you hold cities hostage because that's not saying anything, but you hold cities hostage because you want what you want and you want the right thing there. Hell no. I feel bad for the city of Oakland. The Raiders in Oakland is so synonymous in the NFL. It's like hand in glove. But at the same time, I can understand moving to Las Vegas because, believe it or not, the Raider moniker and the Raider mystique fits Las Vegas well if you understand the XFL. But that's a whole nother story. But taxpayer-funded stadiums is the worst thing you can do. And in fact, if you do fund the stadiums through the taxpayers, you have to remind you this. Ownership must go through, or part of the ownership must go through the city. I'll give you, a lot of people don't know this, but here in Philadelphia, the old Veteran Stadium was actually owned by the City of Philadelphia Department of Recreation. You heard me right. The City of Philadelphia owned Veteran Stadium. It was managed by the Phillies and the Eagles, but the City Department of Recreation, which is now Parks and Rec here in Philadelphia, ran Veteran Stadium. So if you want taxpayer-funded stadium and the people say yes to it, guess what? It is the cities and the cities only or half of it. In the story. Oh, we're talking about tax-funded stadiums.
Okay. So we have that. Oh, Andre joined us. What's up, Dre? The question we're on is, do you think taxpayers should pay for new stadiums? Now, this is in reference to the Atlanta Falcons Stadium, Oakland about to lose Las Vegas next year. Oakland about to lose Las Vegas. Oakland about to lose the Raiders to Las Vegas next year. and the Chargers leaving because San Diego didn't want to pay for a new stadium. So go ahead. What do you think? Should taxpayers pay for a new stadium? If the Eagles needed a new dome next to Lincoln Financial Field, would you want to pay for it?
That's a good question. Taxpayers should pay for the new stadium only if the owner is just as many, just as much percentage as we pay for the stadium, and just as many jobs as they should supply employees. So they gotta make them. They gotta. I mean, I know they hire people that live in the city because you gotta hire people that live in the city. But I don't know. I think they should do more. They gotta do something different and like give them a different incentive because I feel like these owners take too much from the city and don't give enough back. And I see the little stuff they do. They go build a playground here and there, and they go visit a school. No. Let's see you do more than that. Let's step it up a notch. Yeah, I don't know. You just gotta. All right, maybe you have like some free public days, and I guess they kind of got that with like Fright Night and stuff like that. But you still got to get tickets for that. You still got to know people to get the ticket. But I think they just open the stadium up more to the public if we gonna be paying for it. Like you got to give us something. You can't just keep giving us what you've been giving us. Like you taking too much of our money.
All right, I'll close this one out. I don't think taxpayers should pay for a new stadium. I think we're all in agreement. I think it's horrible that Oakland is going to lose the Raiders to Las Vegas next year or the year after that, whichever one it is, because Oakland decided to do the smart thing and didn't cave to the Davis family. Now, the Raiders are just an example. The Raiders have been in the Davis family, I think Al Davis has owned the Raiders since the 90s. So it's been a 20-plus year reign, and they've made billions of dollars off the Raiders, and they're billionaires already based off of whatever they did, wherever they got their money at before that, right? And I think the Raiders are worth like a couple $1 billion. I know the Eagles are. And like you have all that, right? And you mean to tell me whatever your first name is Davis, you want to take the Raiders out of Oakland to Las Vegas. Let me tell you something. If you thought the Raiders, because the Raiders have a reputation because of where they are in Oakland, if you think the Raiders' reputation is bad now when they're only in Oakland, imagine what it's going to be when they're the Las Vegas Raiders. Right? So, this is Oakland, San Diego are going through what Baltimore went through when the Colts left and everybody else. It's always about stadiums. I never understand why people with billions of dollars, more money than any of us will probably ever see in our lives, right, want the government to pay for it, to pay for a new stadium, right? Now I know they pay tax dollars. I know they do a lot for the city, and that's their defense as to why the other half of the $5 billion or the other half of however much the $1 billion stadium is going to cost needs to be paid for by tax dollars. But you all just need to stop being so cheap. You make billions of dollars. You claim to love the city that you're in, yet you'll leave at the drop of a hat to go to Las Vegas, to go to L.A. L.A. didn't want you, Chargers, right? And you'll run to new stadiums, you'll run to new places, to new cities for billions of dollars just because one city will cave to your demand, right? It's kind of why I respect the Eagles, right? The Eagles, they waited until Veterans Stadium was falling apart to get a new stadium, right? Now, I don't live in Oakland, but by all intents and purposes, that stadium is doing pretty well because they're staying at it for another 2 years, right? And they've been trying to upgrade it just like Green Bay upgrades Lambeau Field. You know how old Lambeau Field is? And it's just amazing to me that owners show so much disloyalty to the city that they've been in forever, and then want fans to show loyalty to them. Nobody wants to use their tax dollars to pay for a stadium. I don't care how much I love the Eagles, right? If the Eagles want a new stadium after the link, which I'm sure they'll get in another 15 to 20 years, I don't want my money paying for that. I really don't. But I have no say in the matter. And I know the Eagles are the one team that I don't expect will ever leave the city that they're in. But you never know, right? I didn't think the Raiders would leave Oakland. But, it's just amazing how disloyal these owners are. It really is. No taxpayer money shouldn't be paying for a stadium. And if you're an owner and you listen to this, I know it's a small podcast, or you're one of those delusional fans who think that, you should pay for a new stadium, please give me a non-delusional reason as to why you think taxpayers should pay for stadiums. I'm not opposed to it if somebody can give me a rational reason. But until then, I'm opposed to it. There's no reason billionaires shouldn't be able to pay for their own stadium that they make billions of dollars from. Like, for real. Moving right along to our next one. All right, guys. It turns out now next week is the best week ever because basketball is back. Training camp starts for basketball. Woohoo! But it turns out Joel Embiid is still not cleared to play 5-on-5 drills. So, guys, should I restart the rumor Klay Thompson to the 76ers for Joel Embiid? Should the Eagles
start that rumor, kill you?
Shut that mess up.
Start that rumor, I will.
Shut that mess up, Kevin.
Hold up, Kevin. Hold up, Matt and the people. Didn't even finish the question yet. Don't jump down my throat yet. Did the 76ers just trade him down? Go ahead, Matt.
You know what? I'll just come over to Nice Hour right now, take these broken baseball bats, shove up your rear end because you sent this asinine trade question. I mean, what's wrong with you? Do you understand the Cat situation? Do you understand the money situation the Sixers has right now? They have a lot of money to play with. You want to talk about something? Well, we're going to trade him now while he's hurt. Have you lost your mind? Jeez, I mean, how much root beers you had there? How much? I mean, do you
Matt, you got your connection is horrible.
Sorry about that. Look. How can I put this? Did you drink beer or something? I don't know what you drinking. I don't know what you smoking. But the fact of the matter remains simple is, do you understand the salary cap situation? Do you understand how much money we got right now? And do you see how to say, well, let's trade him now while he's still. You done lost your cotton picking mind. No. Don't take this seriously.
Matt, I'm not saying they should trade him for Klay Thompson. I'm just saying should they trade him. I'm not.
No, they shouldn't trade him. And for what? If you do trade him, what are you going to get him back for? I mean, come on. It's too early. Relax. Sit down. Just ride the train right now. We're still in. Look, this is the process, ladies and gentlemen. This is the process. If you say trust the process, hashtag trust the process, then this is the process. Just sit back, relax, do nothing, and just enjoy this good vibrations that we got here, man. Don't kill my vibe, man. Please.
All right, go ahead, Dre.
No, man, you gotta chill with that Klay Thompson deal. That ain't playing. I ain't tripping about that. That Joel Embiid's not clear for 5-on-5 drills. They just trying to be safe. They wait until they get to the very last minute where they have to use him and start him for the season. He'll be ready to go game one. Don't trip. Preseason, it's preseason. They just getting their legs warm, running a couple of drills, trying to get in sync with each other for the season to come up. Um, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what the Sixers do this year. It's going to be a big letdown if they don't at least make the playoffs. They definitely got to make the playoffs because they didn't spend too much money, spend too much time. I didn't hear trust the process too many times. If I hear it one more time, I'm going to gouge Matt's eyes out. Not yours. But, yeah, I'm just excited for the season, man. I'm excited to see basketball back, man. This is my number one sport, and I love it more than I love football, baseball, any other sport. And, I really want to see, especially with all these teams mixing it up. Now Melo was going to the Thunder. I'm like, what? I guess he just got tired of all the riffraff back and forth. Melo should go. Melo he ain't doing nothing for the Knicks. He better than me. I'd have stayed there. I'd have been like, listen, y'all going to pay me. Y'all got me. Y'all should have never made that contract where I couldn't, where I had to say where I had to go. I'm excited to see what Houston do with CP3 and James Harden, because James Harden disappeared last year. Still mad about that. Just a lot of teams. I'm excited to see the kid ball, see what he do in LA. I think he gonna be all right. But I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. It's a long road. Calm down, son. And I'm really excited to see what Kyrie do. You went out of Cleveland, so you can be your own man. Really? Okay. You do realize you was your own man at one point, and your team was trash. Your team was trash. As soon as LeBron came, you went straight to the finals. But you don't want that no more. You want to be the man. All right. Well, you better pull Uncle Drew out. You better pull Moses Malone out. You better pull Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out. Like, you better make those players the best they've ever been in their career. Because otherwise, you're just wasting your time. But yeah, I'm excited for basketball to come back.
Trey?
I mean, would that be nice to have Clay on the team? Yeah, but and he actually fits very, very, very well actually on this team. But I can't. First of all, I can't see Golden State making that trade because if you're Philly, right, and you think Joel Embiid might not be, he's injury prone. We like his talent, but so and so. I don't see Golden State giving up Klay Thompson for that player. In my opinion, they need to continue to, and me and Kylan have had conversation after conversation, about Jahlil Okafor versus Joel Embiid. Kylan is of the opinion that, Joel Embiid is going to give you, 40 games a season. Maybe if that. I'm of the opinion that Joel Embiid will kind of outgrow his injuries. And is there a reason for a little bit of concern? Possibly, yeah. But I'm not really worried about it, to be honest with you. I think, I think that he's past his injuries. I'm not sure why they haven't ruled him eligible for 5-on-5, but we'll see. I think he'll play this season. I think I think he's going to give us 60 to 70 games this year. And if he can do that, give us 70 games, 65, 70 games consistently, I'm cool with that, because 65 to 70 games is enough. He can be on the court enough that the Sixers are good play, a good team, and as I've said, they're going to make the playoffs this year. So trading him or even thinking about even if it's not to the Warriors or whoever, I think it's not panic, but I think it's too early. You still gotta, it would be foolish to trade him now. If you said later on in the season, midway through the season, he's torn his ACL or something like that, or torn his MCL again, and he's done for the season, I think then you look at trades because if I'm correct, he becomes a free agent after this season, or a restricted free agent, which means you got to pay him, and he's probably going to want. I mean, he's not gonna. If he's injured, he's not going to get top dollar, but another team that wants him and maybe has hope that they can that he doesn't get injured again might want to pay him, and then you got to match an offer if he's a restricted agent. So you don't want the Sixers don't want to be in that situation. So I think they should try to re-sign him. But I think you wait till closer to mid-season before the trade deadline. Then you make a decision. Okay, he's not healthy now. He hasn't been healthy, at all. Only for a chunk of games last year. Okay, now is when we start looking at trades. Okay, what's the best offer that we can get from another team? Who and what are other teams willing to offer? What are we willing to give up in a trade? If a team says, no, we don't want to do this straight up player for player, we need a draft pick or we need another player in case, he can't play, as insurance. But as of now, it's too early to be looking at trades for him. Later on, when you kind of get an idea of if he is healthy, So that's my view on that.
Amina?
Kylan, you need help. You need help. My team is not trading one of our best players to go to the Sixers.
Amen.
Kylan, I know you live it. Do you need help?
Stretch it. Just stretch it.
Tar and feather him, like.
Can't find NBA questions?
Kylan, you all right? You need help? Like, what happened to you this week? Some type of injury? No, we're not. Huh? No, we're not trading nobody, especially to go to the Sixers. Yeah, about that. The Sixers have an injury-prone situation. He's getting hurt. If he's gonna be traded, he's to be traded somewhere else. We're not taking him to the Warriors. That's a death sentence for us. We can't afford that. Super smart. I said give him another year. Trey said that his contract, he's gonna be a free agent possibly by the end of the season. I said give him to the end of the season. See what happens. If he has another major injury, talk about trading by then. Not right now. I'd say give him another chance. Get his life together. Get him to play an entire season. He needs to play an entire season. This man has not played an entire season at all since he's been on the team. He needs to get his life together. I don't know what type of regimen or workout or something. Something needs to happen. I've never seen or heard of such an injury-prone player on the NBA. It's like he's all thumbs. It's ridiculous. I wish him all the best, but yeah, about that with my don't disrespect Klay Thompson like that. Don't do that. Thank you. I feel very disrespected about my life. Love you though.
All right, let me just say, right? Let me just say.
Correct all your mistakes and then talk.
Whatever. Listen, I did not think that they will trade Klay Thompson, but it seems like everybody, when a player is available, they try to send them to the Warriors for Klay Thompson. So, I'm just throwing it out there. Would be the first time that these rumors persisted that Klay Thompson is going to be a
Fix it.
Don't be mad. We'll say the number 25 for over here for you. If it happens, We'll have the jersey waiting for you, Avita. We'll get you a woman's medium in the jersey, okay? You know, I'm just playing. Yeah. So I think what I think the Sixers should do. Well, this is what they're going to end up doing because this is the Sixers. They're going to not play him. Probably not until October, not until November. You know, especially if he's still not cleared. I don't know what the holdup would be and why they refuse to clear him. But you know, they won't clear him. You know, I don't know what's going on with the B. First, I hear that his agent wants to hold him out, be the first basketball player ever to hold out, because he wants a new contract, and maybe it's because he knows that the Sixers doctors won't clear him to play basketball, which is so weird. I don't understand it. But you know, yeah, should they trade him?
You're stretching. You're stretching.
I mean, I don't think they should trade him. I'm not stretching. I'm just saying. I mean, any GM worth their salt would explore it if you have a player that you know is kind of injury prone.
Let's stop here. Joel Embiid is a franchise player right now at this point. And you are willing to trade your franchise player that's putting assets in his teeth? You don't lost your darn mind. Come on, bro.
Listen, I'm not saying they should trade him. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying that they should trade him. I'm just asking the question. That's all I'm saying. Because you know, as I said, people explore. I mean, Paul George was about to be a warrior for Klay Thompson. So let's not act like this would be the first time that a team was ready to trade their whole franchise for Klay Thompson. You know, the Indiana was about to do it, but Golden State said no because they didn't think there'd be enough balls in the game for Paul George, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant and Paul George. I mean, OKC thinks that there's enough balls for Carmelo Anthony and Westbrook and Paul George. I don't know how that's going to work, but we're about to get there. So you know, that's it. Yeah. I don't think they should trade him, but I wouldn't blame him for trying. I mean, he's not cleared. Who knows what's going on? I think he'll play about 40 to 50 games, as Trey said. I don't think he's one of those. I don't think he's Greg Oden, but he has a Greg Oden type injury history. Is the best way to say it. Go ahead, Matt. You want to jump in so badly? I'm telling you, he's got Greg Oden's body. So you go ahead and defend your boy. You tell me why he's a franchise player.
There's nothing to defend. The number speaks for itself. I believe he may play 50 games, but to come out here and you made me wave this back in the air because the fact of the nonsensical nonsense I heard about I don't hear look, trade what? Look, we've seen what this man can do when he's healthy. We've seen what this man can do before. Chill, relax. The season even start yet. We didn't even get the training camp yet, and we try to start some drama. Just chill and relax. Baseball season ain't over yet. We didn't get the postseason yet. You talking about some.
Listen, I like Joel Embiid. I like what he did. I like the excitement he brings. I'm just saying that he is in his contract year. We discussed this on this podcast before, and I tell you that it's a business. It's a cruel business, and if I was the GM of the 76ers, I would say that he's not getting a new contract until he plays more than 40 games. If he can show me that he can last past 30 games, then maybe I'll think about giving him a contract. That's what I'm saying. Now, I know that a lot of people think boots to behinds, and that's why you know he puts behinds in seats. He sells. He's a draw. Like the Philadelphia hasn't seen in basketball since Allen Iverson and Dr. J. I understand that, but he doesn't have Dr. J and Allen Iverson's help. This is a man that if you breathe on him, he gets injured. Let's be real here. Matt, you brought me all the numbers, but the numbers say that, yes, he made the Sixers 31 games better. But he only played 31 games in the 82-game season. That is the question here, Matt. The question here is, for the 76ers, because this is a question they're going to have to answer by the end of the season. If he plays 31 to 40 or maybe 45 to 50 games, was that worth it in an 82-game season if you're losing the other 32 games that he's not playing? Or the other 40-plus games he's not playing in because he got injured? Because I'm telling you, I've seen him, and he looks good. But I need him to do something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about him, why he gets injured. I don't understand. I don't know. But I'm just saying he's got an injury history that would make Greg Oden blush. And I think the 76ers should consider the possibilities before they commit to a 5-year, $200+ million contract to somebody who hasn't played any more than 31 games in their career. That's all I'm saying. So, go ahead, Matt. Do your baseball thing. Matt, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. All right, here you go. The one thing I want to explain to you is the uptick of home runs. The uptick. A lot of people have brought up the fact that, you know, the more players are hitting home runs and, you know, in steroids. Like, look, baseball has of the four major sports, have the toughest steroid protocol in sports. I'm going to explain to you why this is not a steroid thing. It's mechanical. Because watch this. Believe it or not, it's the way that guys are swinging the bat. And here's the explanation here. Believe it or not, when you're swinging, you're not just swinging through the zone. You're finishing that. You're going through the zone. You're finishing up. So it's more like an uppercut swing on there. So this is a smaller scale, but when you go to swing, you're swinging through the zone, but instead of going through back this way, you're going to swing up. Therefore, it's giving that lift. It's giving that launch angle that everyone's talking about now in the StatCast era. Science has made it more possible and more feasible to literally launch the ball up and finishing up versus swinging through the zone and finishing back. So the finish is more important, and you're starting to see guys who really, really go through the zone a little more if they up here and getting more power with their back leg and using more fundamentals, get as little as possible, so that way you see guys just literally just. For anyone that says, well, they're not doing enough testing, and you know they're maybe doing this kind of stuff, I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't the testing, it's mechanical. And you're seeing guys now who are catching up to their pitching, which, by the way, pitching is like getting more specialized these days. They're hitting the baseball higher and at a crazier rate due to science. So my baseball take on this simply this. This is not 1998 where this is all steroids and we all ignore the whole thing. This is 2017. 20 years into this, and I think it's time to just embrace the fact that the game is changing. And hey, look, at the end of the day, chicks dig the long ball, and Now, even because even I tried it and tried to finish my swing up, it's all mechanical, and in fact Jose Altuve of the Astros even used a sledgehammer to work out with it, and I tried it. It is a tough training tool, but it works. It really does work. So if you're all worried about, well, they hit too many home runs, you're getting too skeptical. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's all mechanical. Colin?
All right. All right. As generally happens now that it's starting to get cold, Matt's going to cover all the sports that we miss because we dedicate most coverage to basketball, football, and college basketball. So he's going to cover playoff baseball next month and the start of hockey season. Those are his two favorite sports. So moving right along, guys. So we're going to hit these Eagles related questions in 2 minutes or less. So, guys, should Doug Peterson give up play calling duties? I'll start. After seeing this past game and seeing how repetitive and pass happy Doug Peterson was last week, and I'm not opposed to Carson Wentz throwing the ball, but I needed to be less than 38 to 40 times. I needed to be 30, 32 at the most. I need him to find the running game. Now, this was the bane of our existence under Andy Reid. It's becoming the bane of our existence under Doug Peterson. So I think that Doug Peterson needs to be the head coach and stay in his lane and let Frank Resch call the calls. That's why you hired him to be the offensive coordinator, not just to sit on the sidelines and be your offensive advisor. So I think Doug Peterson needs to give up play calling duties and give it to Frank Resch. Go ahead, Matt.
Matt, you there? It's actually pronounced Frank Reich, by the way, like the Third Reich. I kind of agree with the fact that Peterson needs to give up play calling for right now because Frank Reich, who is also a former quarterback in his own right, should give up the play calling because of the fact of how, I understand what I have a look. I kind of understand what Doug Peterson is trying to do, but some of the play calling has been questionable. So, yeah, for a game or two, I would say, give up play calling duties for right now and to see where things go. I mean, you never know. But I think right now, just give up the play calling duties because, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, the results are mixed. And let's see what happens.
Go ahead, Dre.
Matt, first of all, don't put your ugly mug on camera ever again. We trying to get viewers, not lose viewers. All right. So since I addressed that, let's move on from that. Yeah, he definitely should give a play calling. He's acting just like Andy Reid. It's like ridiculous. Like, yo, you are not his son. He killed himself. I know that was a little disrespectful, but yeah, how you don't run the ball, I just don't understand. Like, it behooves you to run the ball in this league because it keeps defenses honest. Like, if you pass all the time, all you gotta do is back up and just play your man. They can play zone and they can just figure out your quarterback, especially your quarterback that's a sophomore. Like, he don't have enough. Tom Brady don't pass all the time, so why would you pass all the time? It's just like stupid. It's like he's trying to play that Chip Kelly type style, and he's trying to go fast. But you gonna wear your defense out like that? You cannot play in the NFL just pass happy, and then let me throw running back out here every now and then. No. We need time off the clock. We need to give our defense a rest. It's just smart football. That's it. It's just smart football. Play any other way is stupid. It's just really stupid. And we don't have like an elite offense for us to be passing all the time. It'd be one thing if like we had everybody out there you could think of, like from Dez Bryant to Megatron to I don't know, Larry Fitzgerald, Deshaun Jackson. Like if we was loading on offense, all right, I could lean a little bit more that way, but I would still say run the ball. Especially when our men are producing when they do run the ball. But if you put them in every once in a blue moon, then they can't get into a rhythm. Then they got to pop in and then try to make something happen. And then, like, it looks obvious when you are running the ball. I'm looking at the game, and I'm like, they running the ball now. If I can figure it out, you mean tell me you think they can't figure it out? Yeah, he need to give up play calling immediately.
Trey?
We kind of had this conversation, earlier on in the season because, Doug Peterson never had any play calling experience, period. As a coach, he is a quarterback. So I imagine that I don't know, I'm too young to have watched him when he played for the Eagles or wherever else he played, and even in college. But so I don't know if he ever had the opportunity to kind of call some plays in like a hurry up type offense, that type of thing. But we're getting on Doug about play calling. And I do agree that some of the play calling is a little bit questionable. It's not that he's the play calls are like they're good plays in and of themselves. It's just that we don't run enough. We don't have a wide enough playbook. And I think part of it is because he's not an experienced play caller, so he ends up being predictable in his play calls. So, and the same thing happened with Chip Kelly. It's 2nd and 13. It's a screenplay. Darren Sproles is in the game. 2nd and 13 is a screen or some type of short, screenplay to Aguilar behind the line of scrimmage, that type of play. And it becomes predictable. So all the defense has to do is say, okay, we know it's going to either this person or this person. And you make sure that those people are covered, So I think I don't know if he should give up play calling though, however, because I think he needs more experience as a play caller because I don't know. I think he can be a good play caller. I think he just needs to open up the playbook, and stop being so because he can open up the playbook and not be predictable. It's this is just as simple as not calling. Oh my goodness, Penn State is about to lose. Sorry. It's just as simple as not being predictable. And if he can learn how to do that and get, I don't think he needs to give up things to Frank Reich. I think all he has to do is just say, with Frank Reich, sit down with Frank Reich and kind of talk when they're going through game plan and all that type of stuff. I think Frank Reich just needs to have more influence in the play calling. I think it's as simple as that to me.
Amina? Amina, you there?
Yeah, I ain't got much to say. I feel where everybody has said. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Okay. Moving right along then to the next one. So guys, I guess Amina, you can answer this if you want. I know you care more about your Raiders, but do the Eagles have an offensive line problem? Again, 2 minutes or less, because I know we can. In the past 2 games, the Eagles' offensive line has made us all wish that we had a better offensive line, but at least it's not the Giants' offensive line. But I don't know. I don't know if it's for lack of playing together or something, but the Eagles, especially Isaac Samalu, he looks like he regressed. So I think that once we get the left guard figured out, if that's bringing in Chance Warmack or Steven Wisniewski, so be it. But we need to do something because I'm sick of watching Carson Wentz on his back. Now he has been pretty durable this season and last season, so hopefully that continues. But your quarterback can't be taking that many hits. That's how you end up with Andrew Luck or Cam Newton with injuries and missing half a season. So the Eagles definitely need to fix the left guard. Now, if that's Isaac Samalu, we'll see how he does against Olivier Vernon and them tomorrow. But hopefully he does well. If not, bring in Chance Warmack. Go ahead, Andre. I don't know what happened to Matt, but go ahead, Andre. Dre, go ahead.
Let me go second on this. I'm doing something right now.
Okay. Go ahead, Trey.
What question? What was the question? I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Penn State game. It's 7 seconds left. They're down by 4. And in the red zone, I'm trying to score a touchdown.
The Eagles offensive line. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Well, I was listening to I think I was listening to 94.1 the other day. They were talking about Sayamalu and Chance Warmack. You know, what they were, it seems like it's kind of a panic move almost to put Chance Warmack in, and they were Frank Reich and the guys were saying, no, we're sticking with Sayamalu, blah blah blah, and then in practice, Chance Warmack is playing with the starters. So I don't know. To me, I think this is just you need to stick with the young guy Sayamalu, who has a lot of potential. He's a big guy. He's not the greatest in pass protection just because he is so big and he's not as athletic. But they saw something in him and they drafted him in the 3rd round. Chance Warmack is 4 years into the league and hasn't proven himself as a starting offensive lineman. So, I mean, to me, you got to stick with your guns. And unless they say unless Isaac Sayamalu, it turns out that Isaac Sayamalu is injured or something. There's something medical going on that they haven't let us know about. I mean, you got to stick with the young guy who still has a lot. I mean, this is his first. Not only is this his first year as a full-time starter, this is his first time. This is his first year as a full-time starter at the position he's playing. He was last year. He played at right tackle. He was also a center, I think, at some point in college. Now he's playing left guard, I believe, right? Or right guard. So I mean, there's a difference between playing tackle, center, and guard. Guard and center usually are in a pretty interchangeable position, but I don't know. To me, they just need to stick with Sayamalu, let him develop. You can't touchdown. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, stick with Sayamalu.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next one then. The Tom Brady finally said something about Kaepernick. And he said that he think he should play. That he thinks it's because of his protest. That's why he's not in the league. So what's our reaction to that? My reaction, personally, I'll start. My reaction to Tom Brady's comments is, thank you for stating the obvious, Tom Brady. But why did it take you so long? But I'm happy he's throwing his support now behind it. Better late than never. Aaron Rodgers was kind of the first one, but now Tom Brady is talking. So we'll see if more high-profile quarterbacks that are playing right now will say more about Kaepernick and why he should be playing. Go ahead, Amina. Do a reverse.
I can see where he's coming from. He did win the Super Bowl back in February, and he has some level of a mind of thinking process, so to speak. He didn't go to the White House after he won the Super Bowl, and surprisingly, I'm surprised by it because of Donald Trump's favorite team, the Patriots. So it shows that Tom Brady has some type of thinking going on with him. But as you said, why did it take him until now to say something? But like you said, better late than never. But it shows his support that he understands why, because he didn't go to the White House himself. Me and you had a conversation this week about him playing, and I think it's time that he's signed for a roster. It's now the regular season. We're on week 3 now. If he's not signed to a team by the end of the season, which is in February, it's going to be not too good. Worse than it already is now. Because then it's going to be like he's not being signed to a team out of spite. So it would be beneficial to a team to get him signed immediately. But I thank Tom Brady for his support of Kaepernick. I mean, the more the merrier, you know. One NFL star to another, you know, brotherhood, I guess. They keep it moving.
All right, Trey, go ahead. Oh, Trey's been distracted. Trey, you there? I know he's distracted by the Penn State game. A good game.
Oh, my bad, y'all. I'm sorry. I was watching the Penn State game. They just won on a walk-off touchdown. Sorry.
Penn State won?
Yes, Penn State did win.
Good.
Yes. They're interviewing Saquon Barkley right now. I want this man on my team, so I'm the Eagles so bad.
Yo, I have never prayed for injury during the combine so badly. Like what happened to Sidney Jones, I'm just like, that's the only way the Eagles are gonna get him because they have the 30-second. I'm just all like, let an injury happen, minor one, but something that him away from every team except the Eagles. Go ahead. We're on your reaction to Tom Brady's comments on Cap.
Well, it's not a mystery or I think it's very ironic that one, you pointed out Robert Kraft actually donated to Donald Trump campaign. Tom Brady is apparently friends with Donald Trump as well. Donald Trump, comes out and speaks against the NFL protests. So it's no surprise. I don't know the exact words of Tom Brady or anything, but we know the history of the Patriots and Tom Brady. What were you saying? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that Tom Brady basically said that it's because of Cap's protest. That's why he's not playing. He should be playing. He basically said what Aaron Rodgers said. Just said it more in a more Tom Brady way.
Right. So it's it's true, and it's good to see that other players see it because they're players, so they understand. They probably understand better than we do, and better than other people would understand what's going on with that situation. It's clear. I don't know what Tom Brady's opinion is on the reasoning for the protests or any of that. But to be honest with you, as I was saying, Tom Brady, was in support of Donald Trump. So it's good to see that. I mean, at least he understands that Colin Kaepernick is getting blackballed to a certain extent because teams don't want to deal with being the team that signed the guy who knelt for the national anthem.
All right, moving right along. We're gonna go to our last question because we kind of already answered number 12 earlier. Guys, what's playing into the quote unquote, as 45 would say, the downfall of ESPN? Do you think it's politics, technology, the Amazon effect, the fact that people don't need cable anymore? Is it politics? What is it? I'll start. I think for ESPN, it's a combination of two things, right? The reason why ESPN is a little bit down than what it's supposed to be, but even in its down state, it's still better than anybody else who does sports news and sports events and stuff. I think it's because of technology, because of Amazon, Twitter, and other things cutting into the profits of ESPN. So people now, they don't really need cable. Now they can get TV through their apps. All they really need is a cell phone bill now. They can get streaming of everything through the ESPN app and everything. So I think that plays a role. I think technology and people not having cable or not needing cable is definitely the main reason why ESPN is, kind of in a tailspin a little bit. I also think it's the recent layoffs that happened. I think they lost a lot of talent to Fox Sports. Now I may not have always agreed with Skip Bayless, but he had a heavy following on ESPN. I think that's playing a role. I think all the people except for Whitlock, Ray Lewis, and a couple of others who they've lost to Fox Sports, have taken a good chunk of the fans with them because you see. And Fox Sports, I wouldn't pay attention to Fox Sports like that, but they do have this ESPN feel to them with their new show, Undisputed, which is Skip Bayless' show, and then Colin Cowherd's new show, Speak for Yourself, and all this other stuff. You do have the hit of ESPN's in this and those shows. So I think those are the main two factors. I really don't think it's politics, just because ESPN isn't as heavy on the politics, even in covering the Kaepernick stuff, as they were in. They're not as heavy as Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN. So if you're not watching ESPN because of politics, I guess you're not watching any news channel either. So I definitely think that it's not that. I think it's just the combination of layoffs and technology. Go ahead, Trey.
Well, I mean, ESPN is, if you're watching sports, you're probably, if you're looking for something to watch on sports, more than likely, and you turn on the TV, you're probably going to whatever. I mean, for me, it's channel 570 is the ESPN one with Verizon. So, but on the other end, streaming is a big thing now. So, and even not even just streaming, a lot of people, might be listening to it on the radio because they prefer, they might prefer to hear a local commentator, or they might watch it online. With the NFL, you have NFL Red Zone, and you have what's the other thing? You got NFL Red Zone and another service actually, where you can watch the games. Watch multiple games at once. Some of it is political. You have their coverage of Colin Kaepernick, consistent coverage of that, which I don't necessarily have an issue with. But ironically, as I'm talking about this, ABC News is on, and it's talking about Trump attacks athletes. But I mean, ESPN is probably still the top. That they are the only, or not the only, but they're the top sports network. Probably you have probably Fox is a close second, or maybe even, I mean, but the funny thing is that during the playoffs, it's what is it? NBC has the finals, right? Or is it ABC that has the finals? Um, but yeah, it has a lot to do with streaming, and people maybe often are listening to things on the radio. It has a lot to do with politics. Um, I mean, I wouldn't say this is the downfall. They did just fire a lot of people, but I mean, ESPN is still going to be, when you're talking about sports, they still have Sports Center, and a lot of other, First Take, and a lot of other sports shows that people are going to naturally go to just because it's ESPN. You got the ESPYs and all that. But I mean, that's that. If you guys are hearing the beeping in the background, this is all the news. Talking about what Donald Trump said about athletes. He called them SOBs.
All right, go ahead, Amina.
Hold on. It's 2017. It's going into 2018. A whole lot of people aren't necessarily watching, literally sitting in front of a television. I mean, a majority of the news I get, as far as weather, sports, politics, anything, I get through my phone or laptop. Very rarely will I sit and watch TV per se, unless it's a game or a movie I'm watching. So ESPN is like anything else that's not kept up with the times as far as the television platform. Um, and I've saw some sources to say that they're losing ratings, not dramatically, but it's years gone by. It's with anything else. Time is gonna progress. Um, People, like you said, Kylan, people don't need cable anymore. You have smart TVs now that you can connect your phone to, and there you go, laptop, TV, all in one. So you don't actually need a cable package. So you can keep up with ESPN on social media. I mean, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, just literally instant updates, way quicker than you can get on the TV. So it's just the time. I mean, we're going into the third decade of the 21st century, 2020. This isn't the 20th century anymore. Things are changing. This isn't even 2000s anymore. ESPN is just like any other station that's, you know, a relic of the past, I guess. But I just got ESPN on my phone, so it'd be alright.
Okay. All right.
Let me say something, Colin.
Go ahead, London.
Yeah, apologize. My phone was freezing. That's why I wasn't talking to him. Um, Tom Brady took way too long to respond. Colin, mute your. Yeah, he took way too long to respond to Colin Kaepernick's situation. I, I think it's because he's racist, to be honest with you. And I think he did it to make it seem like he wasn't racist. But we all know he's friends, like I said, he's friends with Donald Trump and him and Roger Kraft are, butt buddies. So, they probably disagree. It's fine. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's fine to disagree with what I'm doing, but if you got to see the issue that's happening in America, or maybe they don't see the issue because white folk all the time say, like, why can't you guys just obey the police and everything will be fine? No, everything will not be fine because it's systematized that we only get so far in life. That every time we get somewhere or some industry, we hit a ceiling, and then we start encountering racism to another level. And like really, just because of the color of my skin, you're gonna hold me back, and you're not gonna allow me to advance, or any of the people that I know to advance. As far as the whole president situation and him going with athletes, 45 is an idiot. We all know that. I don't even realize why people take him serious at this point because he's been what he's been all his life is a moron and says moron things. And the fact that he's taking time out his day to fight with athletes shows his level of intelligence. Like, really, on the grand scheme of things, this is what's most important to you. You got people dealing with hurricanes. You got North Korea shooting off bombs, and this is what you choose to focus on at this moment. And or it might just be a ploy, so he can do something else, and he can distract you with this. I like the fact they stood up. I like the fact LeBron said something. I think the Golden State Warriors are handling it smart. I like LaShawn McCoy said, it's really sad, man, that our president is an a-hole. He's an a-hole. And the people, and that's the part that really kills me. The people that don't speak up. Because I hold you more accountable. Because you have a platform, you have a position, you can influence people, but you don't say anything to stay comfortable in like whatever little world you got, the little couple of dollars you got. You say, I just want to, I don't want to get involved with that. It's enough people coming at it and going at it. Yeah, no, it's not. Because nothing's changing. So, either part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
All right, y'all. That was a great show. We had a lot to talk about. We got everything. We didn't get to the trade. I guess we'll get to it next week. Yeah, we're gonna give all of us a week to digest this whole Carmelo Anthony trade. See what we think. Next week with that on Friday. Yeah. So as we said, for today we were back on Saturday due to some conflicts during the week as far as revivals and different things. But next week I think we'll be back on Friday at 9:00. But I want to thank Amina, Dre, Matt, and Courtney for coming through on the Saturday night when they probably could have been doing something else. They were right here delivering quality content and helping the brother out on the Saturday night. So I thank them for that. Y'all go ahead and enjoy what's left of your weekend. Thank you all for listening currently and listening later. Definitely continue to support. Like we said, we are 50 episodes in. 2017 in this podcast, this trailer that I talked about earlier, has come so far. It's really been a blessing. God has really blessed this podcast. And we thank you for listening and for your support. So, until next week, good night and good luck.